Welcome to the Barstool Bracket Show presented by Sport Clips. Just because your favorite team embraces the madness doesn't mean your hair should too. Tame your mane at Sport Clips Haircuts, the perfect place to post up and get an elite haircut this March. With sports always on TV, you won't even have to miss any of the action. Leave the clipper guards and tight fades to our expert stylists. Your job is to watch the point guards and fadeaways on TV, and with the MVP haircut experience, you can look and feel like an MVP on and off the court. With a 7-point massaging shampoo and an invigorating hot steam towel, it's truly the most relaxing haircut in the game. Sport Clips, it's a game changer.
Do that again. Do it.
Hello, everybody. I am Jake Marsh alongside
do one here.
Mark Titus and Brandon Walker.
Like
we are here for the Barstool Bracket Show. We also have our first special guest, Carly from Sport Clips.
Come on in, Carly. Yes.
Going to help us over the next 9 minutes or so style our hairs until we get the bracket.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah.
How about that? Picked a good day to wear a hat, I guess.
Style me.
There you go. So
we can talk bracket while I get my hair styled.
Exactly.
Oh, this is
multitasking.
incredible.
This has
Shout out
always
to
been my
Carly
dream,
from
you
Sport Clips.
This is incredible.
We'll start off with this. The big storyline heading into this bracket reveal is how different the bubble is going to look this year. The bid stealers are higher than they've ever been before. So, Mark, what's your biggest takeaway in terms of that?
Yeah, I feel like the seeds like 12 through 16 are going to be weaker than they've been in the past. We have a ton of bid stealers. We have, the play-in games are trending towards involving 10 seeds, which to my knowledge has never happened in the history of the first four. So that's going to be really interesting. The bubble shrunk in a hurry. And I think a lot of teams that felt very comfortable about where they were at a few days ago are suddenly sweating, and that's going to be fascinating.
So we came into this tournament with certain teams thinking they had to win one, thinking they had to win two.
Yep.
And then certain teams go out and they win one, and you find out on Saturday night when the UAB is stealing a bid, when all these teams are stealing bids, you might not have done the work you thought you
did. We say you have to win one or two, but
and then
that's
we
not,
pull it
that's
right
not
back.
A perfect science.
Yeah.
Like we look at some big teams with fans in the office, Ohio State, Villanova. You guys each thought you were a win away, but even if you won those games that you got eliminated, you probably still weren't going to make it. With the way things
cool, Jake.
You said it there,
Thank you so much, Jake.
That was kind of a dedicated way to say it.
What the
That's
fuck,
all.
Jake?
I'm just saying.
You just looked him dead in his eyes and said, you thought you had a chance, but you never had a chance. You fucking loser. That's what you just said.
We knew that, Jake.
It wasn't meant to be mean like that, so I apologize if that's the way that came out. But you were saying if they beat Illinois that game, you probably would have been in, right?
You were saying that, though.
We don't need to live in fantasy land anymore, Jake. We live in the reality now, and we lost to Illinois, and that's all that matters. I'm more interested in Brandon's Mississippi State Bulldogs, who are in. You're in.
Yeah, you're
100% in.
Okay, all right.
Barstool Invitational alum.
But
two-time Barstool Invitational champion.
You beat the snot out of Tennessee, and it felt like, you guys are.
I thought that was extra.
You guys are really good.
Yeah.
You guys aren't going to have to play in the play-in at all.
Yeah.
And now I still think you're good. You're not going to have to go to Dayton, but what if you have to go to Dayton?
I don't. Dayton, fine city. I'm sure it's a fine city. I don't want to go to Dayton. I want to go straight. I want to go straight to the tournament. I got a thing.
Yeah.
With the conference tournaments this weekend, right? Mm-hmm. And I think out of the major conference tournaments, one favorite won. UConn won their tournament.
Yes.
But North Carolina didn't.
The top six.
Tennessee didn't. Purdue did. And now you have on the bottom side, you have all these bid stealers who have come and taken these. Is this just portending a March that's just going to be pure chaos?
It could be, but I feel like, weren't you hinting at that it might be chalk because of the lower seeds being worse?
Well, we just saw them. All these top seeds get beat.
Yeah, it depends on which perspective you want to take, because the top seeds are not as strong as they are in years past, but I also feel like these lower level, because the same shit was happening with the smaller conferences. Like their representatives were not the 1 seeds either. So. Like, usually you have a situation where you get like a 12 or a 13 that's won 30-plus games and was the 1 seed in their conference, and there are a handful of those, but there's just not as many as we're used to. We're seeing right now the Ivy League championship. Great example. Yale's a fine team. Princeton, if Princeton had made this tournament,
they're probably a 12 or a 13.
Princeton I would have had in my Sweet 16. But I think some of the smaller schools are not as strong as they have been in tournaments past.
Yeah, where do you guys see as we shift from the bubble to the top line? I feel like there's only one debate. It's Iowa State or UNC for that. Number
is that
one.
much of a debate?
I think it is.
I don't really think it is. I think it's a lot of recency bias.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to entertain like which team is better, but like UNC is going to get the 1 seed.
Yeah, I think they will. Too.
Iowa State's non-conference schedule was just absolute dog
Well,
shit.
that and the committee has shown they don't value the conference tournament wins as much as we think they're going to value.
Yeah.
So while that win last night was incredible, I don't think that makes them wake up and go, well, this is a better team than North Carolina.
We fall into that trap every year as fans, where we're like,
whoever makes it to Sunday,
whoever's the hottest teams, they're going to get like a 1 or 2 seed boost. Iowa State should be the top 2, though. No question about that. They're going to be the top 2. They've earned that right, but I don't think they're going to be number 1.
Yeah.
But for the purpose of dramatics, we'll say it could go either way.
I mean, the one thing I got to say is for a 44-year-old man, I have a shockingly rich head of hair.
Yeah.
And I think that's being dealt with.
Carly's making it look better.
And I think we're finding out that you would think this would be like a 9 or 10 seed, but this is like 2 seed hair.
She's currently spraying some spray paint on the.
She's making it look the best.
Yeah. So we've got about 4 minutes until the bracket is revealed. Let's play a little bubble watch, in or out. I'm going to say a name. You guys say in or out.
All right, I'm going off.
Is it going to be a basketball team or a name?
A team name.
A team name. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Because a name wouldn't make sense.
A name would not make sense.
All
right. Let's go St. John's.
Out.
Really? Both of you out?
I think they're out. Yeah, I think they're out.
Okay.
All right.
I want them to be in. I think they're out.
Seton Hall.
Out.
Out as well.
Virginia.
Also out. Very out. Yeah.
I think everybody's out.
Yeah.
I legitimately think. I legitimately think in the last like 48 hours, like everyone on the bubble.
Yeah.
The bubble's that big.
Everyone's now out, and teams like Michigan State and Florida Atlantic that are like, we're not on the bubble.
Michigan State.
They're suddenly
out.
They're in. But they're suddenly on the bubble. You just want everybody to be out?
Kind of, yeah.
You're doing like the reverse Dick Vitale, where instead of everyone.
I hate everybody.
Instead of like, I think 112 teams should be in, you're like.
They're terrible.
FAU.
They're in.
They have great wins.
They're in.
But they also lost to Bryant and Florida Gulf Coast.
But they also they get a little cheat code, right? They get the
They're
Final Four
in, but yeah, if last year never happened, would FAU?
Yeah, no one will be talking about them as an at-large.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
They have some stinky losses.
Yeah.
Stinky.
How about
PU?
Colorado?
I don't know. They started off strong. Then Shedeur Sanders just fell apart. I told you I wasn't going to do that. I told you I was. I'm sorry. Just let me do my hair.
Brandon. I think Colorado's in.
Oh, we're doing my beard too.
But yeah, they're definitely one of the teams that's sweating, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're in Dayton.
What about the mid-major darling of Indiana State? They've been waiting an entire week.
Yeah, it breaks my heart, but Indiana State has almost no chance of being in this tournament.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is what they call him, right?
I would love to be wrong, but it feels like it's trending very much towards Michigan State. Indiana State has no chance of being in this tournament.
The problem is in January, somebody took a picture of Robbie Avila and said, this guy's going to take over March. We're going to fall in love with him.
Right.
And then that cashed a check they couldn't cash and whatever. But I don't think they're in either.
What happened to the check? That
Huh?
cashed the check that couldn't cash.
I don't know. Who cashed what?
We cashed a check that couldn't cash.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, 2 minutes until the bracket. How about a double-seeded mid-major that can make the second weekend?
Oh, good question, Jake. I would go Indiana. No.
I think it's Drake. I really was all morning. I was trying to figure out like what smaller schools I liked, and you know, obviously I wasn't watching a ton of them throughout the year, and I've been watching them in the conference tournaments, and there's just not as strong of a crop to me this year. But Drake, I love. Tucker DeVries is awesome, and
Coach's son, that's wild.
They have some unfinished business, Jake. They had Miami. People forget they were up on Miami at halftime last year.
That's right.
They were our team in bracket busting.
Yeah, they kind
you
of.
You can tune in on Tuesday on the same channel to find out.
They were in a spot to win it last year. They let it slip away. Miami goes on to the Final Four. A lot of those guys are back, and you know, I think they're a little more locked in this year. So
I'm going to do something that we just made fun of. I'm going to pick a team that made it to today and is in our consciousness right now. But I think Andy Kennedy's a great coach.
Yeah.
And I think Andy
also
Kennedy,
a Barstool Invitational alum.
Andy Kennedy sneaking into this thing and getting hot. And I think UAB plays a style that's going to be hard to deal with for some teams.
No Jelly Walker, but they still.
No Jelly Walker, but there's still, I mean, you said there's blitzing teams right now. And I feel like momentum gets on the side of a team like that, look out. And I think he's a terrific coach.
Definitely. How about a top 4 seed that will lose round 1?
Whoa.
Alabama doesn't guard anybody.
Alabama doesn't guard anybody. Good answer.
Kentucky doesn't really guard anybody.
Kentucky doesn't
They
guard
can both
anybody.
put up 100.
They can, but if you get into this tournament and you have an off shooting night and you can't stop anybody, you're the most vulnerable you can be. I like Alabama for that spot. I like Kentucky for that spot. I also like Kentucky to go to the Final Four. So what do I know?
They're not going to do both. They're not going to do both.
No, but they could do one. I'm going to say both in case they do one.
If they win the first round game, you have them in the Final Four. If they lose the first round game, you do not have them in the Final Four. Or you'd still have them in the Final Four?
I would still have them in the Final Four. I would just be wrong. Yes.
Yeah. I think it's Bama. I think Bama's going to get a 4 seed. They did not have a great showing in the SEC tournament, but I think throughout the course of the year, they've earned a 4 seed. And like Brandon said, I don't think they guard anybody, and it wouldn't surprise me if Bama goes home early. Because this team is like nowhere close to as good as last year's Bama team, and they kind of got punked, but they made it to the Sweet 16.
Last question before you guys head over to the Barstool Bracket Show Jumbotron and we start unveiling these teams. Assuming the 4-1 seeds are the 4 we expect, UConn, Purdue,
Yep.
Houston, UNC,
Yep.
which one has the earliest exit?
So I've got it. You can tell it's a serious bracket show. I have a pen and some paper. I'm going to write UConn, Purdue.
Write them out again.
Houston.
So I'll
North
answer.
Carolina.
I think it's North Carolina.
They have the earliest
I think
exit?
I like North Carolina a lot. There's nothing to do with them. I just think the other 3 are very much better than them. Like it's clearly like I think there's a nice gap between the top 3 and Carolina, and everyone's going to say Purdue because of Purdue's history, but I'm actually zagging on that one, and I think Purdue's going to.
I'm going to zig. I'm going to say Purdue.
Okay.
I think Houston and UConn are just far and away
Thank you, Carly.
too good to lose that early. I don't think I can say that about Purdue. I think Purdue, the Zach Edey officiating thing is real.
Right.
You get into this tournament and you don't have Big Ten officials protecting them. That changes everything. And if all of a sudden you're in a 2-point game with 3 minutes left and you don't have any confidence, you're screwed.
Yeah. All right. That'll do it for the Sport Clips pre-show. Thank you to Carly from Sport Clips.
Carly.
Thank you,
Our
Carly.
hair now looks great, courtesy of Sport Clips. You guys want to head over to the Barstool Bracket Show Jumbotron, and we are going to begin revealing the field of 68. It starts right now, and it will complete in Phoenix on April 6th and April 8th. This is by far the most exciting time of year. Absolute chaos. We're about to
starting over
unveil
here.
the beginning of the bracket. You'll have 3-4 days to look at the field of 68, make your picks. You're probably going to change your mind. You might not change your mind, but that's what the time is for. And then Thursday through Sunday, we will go down from 68 to 16. Let's start off on the top left corner of the bracket. The number 1 overall seed.
Got to be UConn.
Got to be UConn.
The 2024 NCAA tournament.
It's UConn. It's Connecticut. Connecticut.
Gotta be
Right, Connecticut. Right, UConn.
Connecticut Huskies. Right there.
Waiting
UConn.
on it. Our hardworking graphics.
We're going to have it.
It's going to be
behind
UConn.
in the truck.
Well, the guy who's writing it is a UConn fan, so he's.
There it is.
It's UConn.
Huskies,
It's UConn.
the defending champions of the Big East tournament. Dan Hurley, he won it all last year.
They're the defending champions of the whole damn thing.
They are the defending champions of the whole thing as well. They will take on, out of the Atlantic Sun, playing for the first time ever in the NCAA tournament, the Stetson Hatters.
Yes.
Stetson,
no.
You gotta
making it
think
for the
of that-
first
of that
time in school
draw for the
history. Head coach Donnie Jones takes them to the dance. The 8th seed, this will be Friday in Brooklyn as well. It is a team that we all are very familiar with. The Florida Atlantic Owls.
Wow.
FAU from the Final Four
high,
last
right?
year.
That's actually kind of high.
A potential
That's pretty high. They should be
matchup in the round of 32 of 2 teams in the Final Four a year ago. They will take on a team right in our backyard, the Northwestern Wild.
Wow.
That's high too. I thought Northwestern was on the bubble. I thought
Out
Northwestern
of the
might be
Big
left out.
Ten.
We've changed Northwestern
This
to
is
2 words
big.
for this graphic.
Moving on to the 5 seed.
Big bubble implications there.
Out of the Mountain West. How about another team from last year's Final Four, San Diego State?
Oh, that's what we're doing?
Oh my God.
We're just putting
3
all the
of
Final Four
last year's
here.
Final Four teams are the first 5 of the teams revealed, and they will take on
There we go.
a team that Brandon just said, the UAB Blazers. Andy Kennedy, Brandon, a potential upset here for you?
I think this is a potential upset here, Jake.
All right, thank you. Moving on to the 4 seed.
Close.
Another team who's gone to the Final Four
Auburn.
over the last 5 years. It's Auburn taking on Yale, who needed a buzzer beater to beat Brown earlier today. Moving on to the bottom half of this East region. These games will be Thursday, Saturday in Omaha. It's the BYU Cougars. BYU jumped up a weight class in the Big 12. And this 11 seed, we'll see if it's some bubble teams or if it's a late AQ. It's Duquesne out of the A10.
I like this for BYU.
that's Duquesne.
I like this for BYU.
Or as Nikki Smokes would say, DeQuents.
I'm sorry, Duquesne.
BYU Duquesne Thursday in Omaha. The 3 seed also in Omaha.
Fixed Auburn.
It will be the Illinois Fighting Illini.
We're at number 3 seed now?
Yes.
Okay.
Illinois, who just about 20 minutes ago
Who is typing?
won the Big Ten. It's Garrett. Shout out Garrett in the truck, doing a great job.
Okay, Garrett, doing a great job.
Seed Illinois.
Garrett.
They will take on the number 14 seeded from a mid-major. It's Morehead State. Preston Stradlin once again leading the Eagles for the second time in 3 years.
Jake, your quick thoughts on Morehead?
I like Morehead.
Good.
Number 7, Thursday in Omaha as well. It is a team that has not made the NCAA tournament since 2008. It's the Washington State Cougars. Guys, one of the more surprising power conference teams this year.
Yeah, they were a great story, Jake. They are a very good team, and I depending on who they're playing, I like the idea of Washington State moving on in this tournament.
I'm just going to say, weak bracket so far.
For number 10,
I hate the idea of Washington State moving on in this bracket, Jake.
it is one of Titus's mid-majors to watch. Drake gets a 10 seed.
Yeah. The bubble is the teams that were I don't know what this means for the bubble, because Florida Atlantic, Northwestern, Drake, I feel like they are seated higher than I expected them to be, so I'm not smart enough to understand what that means.
So does that squeeze down and pull the bubble?
Who will be the number 2? It is the Big 12 champions, Iowa State. So Iowa State will be the 2 in UConn's region, Brandon.
So, Jake, I do not think Iowa State's going to get UNC's 1 seed.
Okay, fair enough. And finally, wrapping up the East region, it is South Dakota State. The Jackrabbits are a staple out of the Summit League. 22-12. They won 8 in a row to close out the season, dancing for the second time in 3 years. All right, guys, big picture, the East region.
Yeah, first thing that stands out to me, Iowa State being a 2 with UConn, who's obviously the number 1 overall seed. You have who I assume is supposed to be the number 1 overall, or the number 1 2 seed, is in the same region as the number 1 seed. I figured Iowa State would be thrown in with Purdue based on geography, that they would want to go to the Midwest. So I don't know if this tells me that the committee did not actually have Iowa State as the top 2 seed, like we all expected them to. That jumps out to me. What about you, Brandon?
What jumps out to me is
Don't be afraid to turn towards the camera, by the way.
We just saw a team.
Those are the things that are...
We just saw a team win the Big Ten tournament. I think if I'm an Illinois fan, I love this. I love this bracket. I think that looks very manageable for the team. I just saw through the Big Ten. So that's what stands out to me. Other than that, I think this is UConn's to absolutely.
This 8-9 matchup is like Florida Atlantic obviously has the pedigree. They still have a lot of those guys that went to the Final Four last year. Northwestern with Boo Buie is a nightmare matchup for anybody. I'm not saying they're going to beat UConn, but that 8-9, it's a great draw for fans of basketball to watch UConn play either one of those teams in the second round. UConn will be favored. UConn's the better team, but both of them could make for an exciting game.
I mean, the fact that
teams here, you've got the SEC tournament champ, the Big Ten tournament champ.
a lot of automatic qualifiers.
Yeah.
The bubble watch, really no movement yet. I guess from a bubble perspective, the only surprising thing is that FAU's an 8, right?
Yeah, and Northwestern's a 9.
And UAB a 12,
Some people had Northwestern not even in the tournament. I mean, I wasn't worried that they were going to miss it, but I figured Northwestern was going to be a 10, so.
Now,
that's interesting.
No Mississippi State so far, and I know a lot of people are watching, wondering about that. We'll get to them later.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So, looking at the East region right now, what do you guys think is potentially the biggest upset?
I do like Drake. I like Drake, Washington State, but I like this Washington State team. But it's a great draw for Drake. And then Drake. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jake. You're the geography guy. Is Drake not an Iowa school? The idea of Drake playing Iowa State in the second round.
Ooh.
You got that.
And that game's in Omaha, so it's all within the region.
4-5 game.
Pretty juicy.
You got a potential of Auburn, UAB.
Auburn, UAB, some Alabama, some Alabama matchups. The BYU Duquesne. I like this matchup for BYU. I don't necessarily love Duquesne, but LeBron James loves them, so maybe that's enough to get them past BYU.
Why does he love them?
Duquesne's coached him in high school.
Yes, Keith Dambrot. And by the way, for Duquesne, this is a very long tournament drought. A few schools we'll see in this year's field have never made it, but Duquesne is next up. 1977, the last time the Duke was dancing.
That is ancient. That is so far away.
Also, Stetson is my favorite 16 seed. I don't even know who the rest of the 16 seeds are, but Stetson was my favorite. They are no longer my favorite. I hate that they have to play UConn.
What do you guys think about a 16 seed that avoids Dayton? Do you think teams would prefer that, or prefer a chance to have a legit chance to win?
I would say it feels more, you get more clout by not playing in it, but you get the chance to win a game, right?
Yeah, you get a scout.
Hey, move to the other side. He told me to stand here. They told me to stand over there.
Yeah.
He's right. I should have been over here the whole time.
I actually noticed, Brandon, that you were standing right there. There were long stretches where you couldn't see me, and I thought it was very funny. So I was trying to see how long we could go, where as I was talking.
Would you like me to come back?
Now that I pointed it out, it's not as funny.
Okay,
So maybe
all
you
right.
stay over there.
Yeah, so this is the East Region presented by Visible by Verizon. So UConn, I mean, do you guys think in terms of big picture, is this an easy walk to the Final Four?
I think if I'm a UConn fan, this is, I don't know if dream scenario is right. I know Auburn's very dangerous, but I look at that. I think UConn handles pretty much everybody
Yeah,
with ease.
honest to God, the 8-9 matchup, whoever wins that, the second round game is the one that would worry me the most. I don't think these teams are better than UConn. I think that Boo Buie, there's the feeling of Florida Atlantic's not going to be scared of UConn. Florida Atlantic believes that they can flip the switch and they'll be able to play with UConn. And then Northwestern has Boo Buie, who is absolutely fucking terrifying. And if Boo Buie is hitting everything, and you're a 1 seed, Northwestern's in a position where they have nothing to lose. Assholes start getting tight because UConn's trying to repeat. Northwestern's just like, fuck it, we got nothing to lose. That scares me more than anything else. I think if they get past the second round, Auburn's a very good team. I don't think Auburn's guards scare UConn at all. I think UConn's guards will have a field day with them. And yeah, San Diego State, there's nothing anywhere else in the bracket that really worries me.
Well, let me ask you a question
lot of
about
defensive teams, though. What? Go ahead.
So if it goes chalk and they get down to 1-2, Iowa State just beat the crap out of Houston, right? What do they do that can make them do that to UConn? Is that even possible?
What could Iowa State do well, Iowa State has the best defense in college basketball. So
All right, guys, let's move on to the South region. We're going to go to the top right corner of the bracket. The South region will be played in Dallas, but first up, it's the number 1 seed, the Houston Cougars.
Yep, that makes sense.
Did not look like themselves in last night's Big 12 championship game. They will be playing on Friday, Sunday in Memphis, and they will be taking on the Longwood Lancers in the tournament for the second time in 3 years. Griff Aldrich, well, they were the 5 seed in the Big South, and they went on a run.
Jake, this isn't the first time the Cougars have met Longwood. I'll tell you that much.
That's a good one.
Some stories from college for you.
Yeah, so top right corner, it's Houston versus Longwood, the 8th seed out of the Big Ten. How about the turnaround that Fred Hoiberg has done with Nebraska?
Yes.
An impressive season for him. They've had some dark seasons. They're in the tournament for the first time in a decade, 2014, and they will take on Buzz Williams and Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Another juicy 8-9 matchup.
No, that one's very good.
Old Big 12 matchup.
Yeah, and you have the potential Texas versus Texas second round matchup of Houston and A&M.
Yes, you do.
I'm falling in love with these 8-9 matchups.
Well, going on to Friday in Brooklyn.
Is that high for A&M too?
Might be, yeah.
Yeah.
Friday in Brooklyn, it's a team that we're all familiar with because of our boss, Big Cat, the Wisconsin Badgers.
Well, we watch all these teams, Jake. We don't really necessarily care about
I guess
Boston's
more
team.
recently familiar with. 5 seed Wisconsin will be playing Friday, and they will be taking on the James Madison. It's Big Cat. It's BFT. It's Friday in New York City. Look at the live look.
God. Oh, my
In
God.
our Visible by Verizon gambling cave.
Oh, no.
It's Big Cat versus PFT.
What the fuck?
Is there an EWL in the selection room?
Fuck.
That's not good.
Wow.
Oh, my
It's also a very good matchup.
goodness.
It's a great matchup. I honestly.
And guys, as we keep diving in, the 4 seed is Duke.
Oh!
It's crazy.
That's where Hank went. Yeah. Holy shit.
Big Cat, PFT, and Hank. And Duke will be taking on Vermont.
Oh, my God. That's where St. Marsh was.
That's a team too.
Oh, my God.
I can't believe what
I
we
can't
are watching.
believe this.
Duke, Vermont, the
My
4th
God.
Wisconsin, James Madison.
That's pretty fucking crazy.
12.
That's pretty
Me
fucking
versus
crazy.
Hank. Big Cat versus PFT.
Wow.
Let's go on to the
We're
6th
really
seed.
giving
It's
Duke to
Texas
Hank like
Tech.
that. Okay.
They will be taking on a team that won 5 games in 5 days in NC State.
Oh, wow.
How come
Wow,
you're
that's
not
going to be a
as
fun
excited-
matchup.
You're not as excited announcing that matchup.
Because it doesn't have as much juice. Do you guys disagree?
No, that is pretty insane. That's pretty insane to have. I wonder where Max's team is going to end up on this bracket. Really tie it all together.
Well, we haven't seen any bubble teams yet, which is interesting. We're nearly halfway through, and no bubble teams have been announced. The 3 seed is Kentucky. So Duke and Kentucky are in the same
Duke
region.
in the same.
Now we've got this.
Wow, this is loaded.
We got some juice on this.
The
bracket.
region of death. Kentucky's also a 3. I find that surprising. I thought they'd be a 4.
Yeah.
So who's going to be the 2 then?
I don't know, but the
this bracket
14 is going to be
really
the
popped.
Oakland
It can't be Tennessee, right?
Golden Grizzlies.
Because of Kentucky.
Greg Campy, they won 8 of 9 to close the season, their first tournament appearance since 2011. The 7 seed is the Florida Gators.
Oh, wow.
Really hot week in Nashville, and they're in the same region as their conference rival in
3
Kentucky.
SEC teams in this bracket.
So Florida will be taking on a 10 seed, 2 last 4 in. It's Boise State and Colorado.
Wow.
Boise State, I think we
Wow.
all assumed they were safely in, but now they'll be playing in Dayton.
They're on the bubble.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So Colorado, one of the last 4 in,
That's one of them.
along with Boise State.
gonna
The
be
winner
Marquette, I think.
gets Florida in Indianapolis on Friday. Now we're just waiting on the number 2
I think
seed
you're right. This is
in the
Marquette.
South region,
Unless Marquette's Midwest.
and it is Marquette.
Yep. Yep.
The Marquette Golden Eagles, led by Shaka Smart, they lost to UConn in last night's championship game in the Big East. But the big question with them, the health status of Tyler Kolek.
Right.
Yep.
And finally, the last team, it's the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky. So a lot to dive in here, guys. Let's go ahead, Brandon.
So we'll get the PMT thing, but I look at here, no disrespect to Marquette, but I look straight to Kentucky as a 3 seed. That's just a dangerous team, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Texas Tech, NC State's going to be a fun matchup. Texas Tech, not the brand that I think a lot of casual college basketball fans would expect them to be. They are not a defensive-minded team. They are not a grit and grind team. They are guard-oriented. They are offensive-oriented. A very fun NC State team that's hot. Kentucky, as you said, Brandon, could either lose in the first round or go to the Final Four.
Right.
Florida's hot. I know they didn't win today. Marquette, I think Marquette's obviously the best team. They're seeded the best and all that. But Marquette has some unfinished business. Shaka Smart, Jake, has been to 1 Sweet 16 in his career, and it was the VCU run.
in 2011.
That's it. He has not been back. Last year they were a 2 seed. They lose the second round game to Michigan State. Mm-hmm. A lot of those guys back, they have a sense of unfinished business. But like you said, Tyler Kolek has to get healthy.
Yeah.
Jake, any idea what the stakes will be in Wisconsin, James Madison?
In terms of a bet between the 2 of them?
If anything.
I don't know, but it's going to be interesting. That whole quadrant, Wisconsin, James Madison, Duke, Vermont.
James Madison opened their season at Michigan State.
They won, yep.
Yeah. They went on the road in the Big Ten, beat a Big Ten team, a Big Ten team that we expect to see in this field at some point. You know, they get another one. Let's see how they handle it. I think that's going to be an incredible game, Wisconsin, James Madison. I told myself the 12-5 games, I was not going to believe in any 12 over 5, but I'm looking at that one, licking my lips a little bit.
I think you also got a point with the 8-9s because that is a terrific 8-9.
Terrific 8-9 game. Yeah, terrific 8-9 game.
I don't know if either of those teams can beat Houston, but that's still a terrific 8-9.
I'm less. I think Houston will have their way with both of them. But Texas A&M, guard-oriented, Wade Taylor, Boots Radford. Nebraska is so fucking fun when they get hot. That's going to be an awesome game. I've fallen in love with the 8-9 games. That's what stood out to me so far as we've seen 2 regions. Is I think we're going to get 2 awesome 8-9 games.
Titus, you hinted at the potential of the last 4 in being the 10 seed. That's what we're going to see this year.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone had Boise State on the radar for last 4 in. Everyone thought they were mostly safe, right?
Yeah, I think so. The Mountain West, I don't have their resume down pat, I guess. So, but the Mountain West was like a fun league. The Mountain West is going to get 6 bids, but I don't know if it's like a team-by-team thing because the Mountain West had some great non-conference results. I don't have Boise's non-conference run off the top of my head, but I'm a little surprised by that because I think there's a lot of respect for the Mountain West this year in a way that there frankly hasn't been in years past. And the idea of the Mountain West sucking in the NCAA tournament was put to bed last year with San Diego State's run to the national championship. So, that's a little bit surprising to me. But yeah, we are seeing the 10 seeds in the playing game, which is something I think we all saw coming.
Got to be a real kick in the crotch for Boise State to think you're in and you're safe and listen, the playing game is in the tournament. It is. But now you have to play a game to get to what we call the real tournament.
Yeah.
It's a field of 68, Mark. It's not a field of 64.
Okay. Says you. But yeah, juicy name brands here, Jake. You got Kentucky, you got Duke, you have others. It's really Kentucky and Duke. Kentucky and Duke.
Well, Florida certainly has been in the past. And
move the needle in college basketball, and for both of them to be in the same region. That's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. So.
Absolutely insane. How about the 1 seed Houston? How do you feel they're going to feel about their draw?
I feel good if I'm Houston. Nebraska and A&M. Now, Nebraska, the worry is Nebraska can just bomb a bunch of threes, and if they're hitting them all, there's kind of nothing you can do.
K-State Tominaga.
Yeah, Houston can guard the three-point line well, so hopefully that's not a problem for them. A&M, I would feel better about if I'm Houston. But yeah, no one on the bottom half of the bracket, like a Duke matchup, and Duke's pretty soft. Wisconsin, James Madison. I think Houston. I got Houston in Elite Eight at the very least, and then it gets interesting as to whether Kentucky or Marquette or one of these other teams comes out of.
Duke has to be just a terrible matchup for Houston because Houston eats soft teams for breakfast.
Yeah, exactly.
And Duke is the softest team in this.
Duke-Houston matchup, by the end of the first media timeout.
It might be illegal.
Yeah, Kyle Filipowski's going to be crying. Yes. Yeah, if that happens.
Yeah, definitely. Biggest upset potential?
I mean, Jake, I think we all defer to you right here because Vermont over Duke, right?
I mean, it has to be.
It's not Vermont.
No bias,
It's not at all.
It's not Vermont.
It's James Madison over Wisconsin, right?
It's JMU over Wisconsin. It's NC State over Texas Tech. NC State is just like NC State is too stupid to realize they're not supposed to be winning these games.
Yeah.
They just keep rattling off wins. Now you could argue they're going to be tired after 5 games in 5 days, but we were arguing that going into the ACC championship, and they obviously weren't tired. So
I think Kentucky's right for an upset, but I don't think Oakland's the team to do it.
Yeah, Kentucky's. I don't think they're going to lose to Oakland. I think they would lose. The way it goes wrong for Kentucky is the bracket breaks wide open.
Yeah.
Marquette loses to like Colorado or something.
Yeah.
And Kentucky is playing NC State, and they have to beat Colorado. And like the path is open for Kentucky to go to the Final Four, and then they fuck it up.
All right, guys.
That's the most likely way Kentucky.
The field is halfway through. We have the East region in the top left, led by number 1 UConn. The South region in the top right, which was our Optimum Nutrition region, by number 1 seed Houston. Now we are going to move to the bottom right region, the Midwest region, where we will see the number 1 seed, and it is the Purdue Boilermakers. Same seed as last year, where they lost the historic game to Fairleigh Dickinson. Who will they try?
Are we getting St. Peter's, Jake?
Let's see if it is.
Are we getting St. Peter's, Jake?
We are not getting St. Peter's. We're getting the winner of the 16-seeded Montana State and Grambling State, who's in for the first time ever. So Purdue won't have their matchup for a few more days.
Yeah, both of those teams are dog shit, Jake.
But do you think they can still beat Purdue? I guess
Nope, they're dog shit, Jake. Move on.
This is Friday in Indianapolis, by the way. So the fact that Indianapolis is one of the host sites has to help Purdue as well. The 8th seed.
It helps the teams playing in Dayton, though, too, Jake.
Yes, one of Rico Bosco's 20 teams, Utah State.
Oh.
We're doing this. We're introducing all of Rico's teams.
Well, we're halfway through. It was the first time I mentioned it. Utah State, 27-6. Danny Sprinkle, one of the best coaching jobs in all of college basketball this season. They will take on number 19. Utah State, TCU. Jamie Dixon has had his fair share of tournament runs.
So we avoid Bosco versus Bosco there.
Yeah, which is hard to do these days. Moving on down to Thursday, Saturday games in Salt Lake City, the number 5 seed, the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Gonzaga, it's interesting, guys, because they have the least amount of pressure they've had this decade in the tournament. So will that help them?
8 straight Sweet 16, Jake, for the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Early February, we were wondering if they were going to make the tournament.
We were, yeah.
Then they go to Kentucky, they win, and everything opens back up.
Oh,
They're taking on a sexy mid-major pick.
Yeah.
That's Will Wade.
Yep, that's
Will Wade, 30 wins. A lot of people will be taking this up.
A lot of people. This will be the 12-5, I think. I think a lot of people, if James Madison, Wisconsin's not the 12-5, I think McNeese, Gonzaga will be the trendy 12-5 pick for people.
So that's the 5-12 game Thursday in Salt Lake City.
They don't.
Number 4, my oh my, this is juicy. The Kansas Jayhawks.
Oh,
wow.
Juicy.
2 years ago, so a potential Gonzaga-Kansas second-round game, and Kansas will be taking on the champions of the SoCon. It is the Samford Bulldogs, their first appearance since 2000, 29 wins this season.
McNeese and Samford are 2 teams that a lot of people are very high on as far as the smaller schools go, so interesting that they're put in the same bracket there.
Jake, you like the SoCon?
I love the SoCon, a lot of points.
All right.
Do you like the SoCon?
It's all right.
Go ahead and say it, Brandon.
No, I didn't have the heart. I couldn't do it to Sweet Jake.
Okay.
Say it.
No.
Say it.
Oh, I know what you're doing. Yeah, Southern Conference. Yeah, SoCon. Yeah. All right, moving down to the bottom half of the Midwest region, the 6th seed, one of the biggest turnarounds in college basketball this year. South Carolina, Lamont Paris probably one of the favorites for Coach of the Year, right?
National Coach of the Year, I think him and Kyle Smith of Washington State are the two candidates to me that stand out.
They were picked 14th in the SEC. They went 26-5.
Yep. The 11th seed, it is the Oregon Ducks. So we don't see the other last four in. This is an automatic qualifier. And guys, both those teams made the Final Four the last time the Final Four was in Houston, in Phoenix.
2017.
2017.
Yeah.
How about that?
UConn Gonzaga, right?
Darius Thornwell.
Yes. The 3 seed, the Creighton Blue Jays.
Oof.
Greg McDermott.
I'm making the same noise for every team.
You're also
See
showing
if
your
they
ass.
can make a run. This will be Thursday in Pittsburgh. They'll be taking on the number 14 seeded Akron Zips, who won a classic against Kent State.
Yeah, devastating
on
way for
Saturday.
Kent State to go home. I like this Creighton team, and I think that's a good draw for Creighton.
The number
Akron
7 seed.
and
This
South
will be
Carolina.
Thursday, Saturday games in Charlotte. It's the Texas Longhorns, and they will take on 2 teams who are part of the last 4 in. It's Virginia and it's Colorado State.
Whoa!
Virginia has made the dance.
You're not in the play-in. You're not in the play-in.
Colorado State has made the dance. 2 Mountain West teams part of the last 4 in.
I love Colorado State being in, but yeah, I thought they were going to be more comfortably in. Virginia, I'm a Tony Bennett believer. I hate this Virginia team, but they did lose on some tough circumstances, so it's good for them to still make the tournament.
Tough circumstances by themselves, though. All they had to do was foul.
Right.
So Jake
But,
Malasek is a happy camper. We move on to number 2. It's
gonna be a disgusting
Thursday
game,
in
though.
Charlotte. It is the Tennessee Volunteers, a team that I think we all thought had a real chance to be a number 1 seed if they made it a little farther this week.
Well, they couldn't. They had a buzzsaw in their way. But that is a very, very, very good team.
Yes, Tennessee will be taking on the darlings of 2 years ago, the St. Peter's Peacocks.
Wow.
They won the MAC tournament, the other MAC in Atlantic City. And guys, we take a big picture look at the
Multiple
Midwest
Cocks in
region.
this bracket.
Yeah, 2 things that stand out to me, Jake. Some coaching storylines here. You got Tennessee, Texas, Rick Barnes, if they meet in the second round. You also have Creighton, Oregon, potential Dana Altman matchup. Yeah, like you said earlier, with Kansas, Gonzaga, those are 2 programs that are no strangers to NCAA tournament success, but both teams are kind of down by their standard this year. So that's interesting. They're both going up against 2 mid-majors that I think people are really high on. So, yeah, this is an interesting. I would say it's pretty wide open, really, because you have Purdue, Tennessee, Creighton. You have 3 schools that are known to choke in March, quote unquote. Right. So those being your top 3 seeds, and then again at 4 and 5, you have 2 schools that are as weak as they've been in the last 20 years, and a South Carolina team at 6 that. Frankly, is punching above their weight class.
I think that's your upset. I think the 11/6 right there. I think South Carolina is ripe for an upset because they've been playing above their station the whole year.
I feel like this bracket's going to give people fits as they're filling out their brackets because they're going to overthink They're going to look up and have like Purdue, and they're going to have Matt Painter and Rick Barnes in the Elite 8.
And I think I said this on your show a few weeks ago. Those 2 teams, they are known for having early exits. But they're the top 2 seeds in this region.
They're the top 2 seeds. And Creighton, the number 3. I mean, Creighton went to the Elite 8 last year, but Creighton's never been to a Final Four in program history. So
knowing you have a bracket full of teams that historically choke, this could be the chaos bracket.
It could be, which means it absolutely will not.
It will not be one versus 2.
Or it's a breakthrough bracket for one of these teams.
We're calling it the breakthrough bracket.
It could be.
Or Kansas just goes to the Final Four.
Or Gonzaga does as well.
Or have we named them all yet? This to me is I don't want to say it's the weakest region. I think it's the most intriguing. I think it's the most wide open. But I also think Purdue is pretty clearly the best team. But Tennessee has the best player in Dalton Knecht.
I think Tennessee can give Purdue everything they want, though.
Yeah.
But I think Tennessee.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know Purdue's probably the best team, but I'm just stuck on the Edey officiating thing. There's a reason they lose in March with this guy.
That's why I think Dalton Knecht is the best player in the region. But yeah, with Edey and Knecht, you have the top 2 National Player of the Year candidates.
Oh, I didn't think of that. You could have that in the Elite 8.
How about the bubble? Virginia is in, which I think shocked a lot of people, and Colorado State, another team I think
it makes you wonder if Mississippi State out. Is Mississippi State
it doesn't make you wonder that. We have a whole region over here that we're going to get to Mississippi State.
It does make you wonder.
Yeah, I don't think it makes you wonder that.
Are you wondering or not?
I'm now wondering.
I told you.
Are you wondering?
There's only 17 spots left.
There's only 17 spots left.
You only need one. You only need one spot. I need one spot.
Makes you wonder.
So Indiana State's just now.
So Indiana State, St. John's, Seton Hall, Pitt.
There's only 17 spots.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else is the bubble watch that we're?
Providence.
Yeah, it's not looking good for the Big East schools, I don't think.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Michigan State we haven't seen yet, right?
Michigan State.
Oh.
But I will say, Michigan State, if Northwestern was a 9, I think that bodes well for Michigan State, that they'll be like a 9. They'll probably be in the 8-9 game.
Yeah.
I would guess. But I don't know. This is March, Jake. We don't know. If we knew, it wouldn't be madness.
There's got to be a lot of people out there that are livid that Virginia made it in, aren't there?
Yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah.
one of them right there. He's been saying it.
Well, I mean, Virginia, again, and I say this lovingly, those of you watching and have followed me for a while, you know that I love Tony Bennett. I love Virginia. You know, the 2019 team is one of my favorite all-time college basketball teams. This Virginia team is dog shit, and they're very boring to watch. They can't score the basketball. It'll be a fun matchup because they can guard. Colorado State and Isaiah Stevens are very, very fun. They can score. So you have like a contrast of styles there with offense, defense. But, Virginia is not a fun team to watch this year.
We got to watch them a few days earlier this year, too.
Yeah. So that we're all the idea that they're going to have, as John Rothstein says, a standalone game.
Yeah.
Where the entire country is just locked in on Virginia basketball. I don't know if I love that for the sport of basketball, but I do like Tony Bennett, so I'm happy they're in for that reason.
Have I been standing in front of the bracket the whole time?
You have, yes. And you've also kind of just been turning your ass.
Yeah.
Like so.
Like this?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know we had a stand-up portion. I wore bad shoes. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Here's your bracket.
Yeah, so this is the Midwest region presented by Sport Clips, Purdue, Tennessee, Creighton, Kansas, the top 4 seeds. I don't know if this is the region of death, but I think this is the region of revenge and storylines. Right?
Yes.
Yep.
Region of revenge.
Is that a safe
that.
name?
You say it.
Region of Revenge. Very easy to say.
Region of Revenge. All right, it is time to fill out our 4th and final region, which is presented by DraftKings. It's the bottom left portion.
Oh, boy. Okay.
The West region. The DraftKings king of the region will be the number 1 seed. We have teamed up with DraftKings. Use our promo code Stool Madness when signing up. New customers bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets instantly. College basketball fans, DraftKings is the place to be. Download the DraftKings app now, sign up, and use code Stool Madness. The crown is yours. The number 1 seed is North Carolina, no surprise there. And they will take on
Mississippi State.
Okay. No, North Carolina is the king of the region, brought to you by DraftKings. It's the first 4 winner of Howard and Wagner. Howard has Seth Towns in his 8th season, Titus. That is not an exaggeration. 8th season for Seth Towns.
Yeah, it is an 8th season. And you know what's crazy? He actually, I just looked it up, could come back for a 9th season. He does have another year of eligibility.
The 8th seed, Thursday in Charlotte. Congratulations, Brandon Walker.
Brandon, hey!
They will be playing Thursday in Charlotte, and they will be playing, out of the Big Ten, the Michigan State Spartans. Brandon versus Izzo.
So I got to end Izzo's career.
January, February, Jans.
Yes. All right.
So
I don't like it.
They're saying it's January.
I wanted to be a 10 because I'd rather play a 2 in the second round, but okay. That's fine. We'd have to play North Carolina and Charlotte.
All right, moving on to the number 5 seed.
I'm talking about Mississippi State right now.
St. Mary's. They dethroned Gonzaga in the WCC this year.
Yep.
And they have a chance to make a little bit of a run. They'll be taking on the 12 seed Friday in Spokane. It will be the Grand Canyon Antelopes. Out of the WAC.
Yep.
They got in a little altercation in their championship game. Someone threw a ball at a player.
Well, I mean, you're really selling it short there. There was a windmill dunk. There was a push. There was a toss.
Grand Canyon's got some program momentum. St. Mary's is going to slow them down. That's another 12-5.
So that's a West Coast battle for both
you're falling in
teams
love
playing
with
in Spokane. The 4 seed Friday in Spokane. It's Rico's team, his number 1 team.
No, it's not.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Oh, Alabama,
no.
St. Mary's.
But Rico has a little bit of a conflict here because the number 13 seed is Pat Kelsey and the Charleston Cougars.
Oh, so Rico moves on. Congratulations,
to Rico. Moving on to the round of 32. And finally, the bottom half of the West region. Bubble teams on the edge of their seats. The 6 seed Clemson Tigers.
Wow.
Brad Brownell, he may have saved his job this year with the turnaround he did.
That's the 8th year in a row we've said that.
Yes, but they're in as the 6 seed Friday in Memphis. And they will be taking on the Lobos of New Mexico, another team from the Mountain West.
New Mexico wins. New Mexico wins.
That was your breakdown of the 6-11 game in the DraftKings region by Mark Titus. Only 6 spots remaining, a lot of bubble teams still out there. The 3 seed, though, first it's the Baylor Bears. Baylor led by Scott Drew, the 2021 champions, 23 wins this season, their sixth straight tournament. They'll be taking on the Colgate Raiders. No strangers to the NCAA tournament. Matt Langel has absolutely dominated the Patriot League over the last decade. The 7th seed out of the A10, getting an at-large, it's Dukes' Dayton Flyers.
Oh my God, that's
And this
insane.
is the last possible spot for a bubble team.
So this is the bubble team, right?
Who will it be? Thursday in Salt Lake City, it is Nevada. Another Mountain West team. The Big East gets absolutely left in the cold this year.
Wow.
St. John's, Seton Hall, Providence, all out.
All out.
Wow. That is shocking.
That's shocking.
The number 2 seed is Arizona. They will be playing in Salt Lake City on Thursday.
Yep.
And the final team to be announced in the 2024 tournament in this DraftKings region.
Buckeyes?
It's a 15 seed. I don't know if it'll be the Buckeyes.
Well,
Buckeyes?
could be.
It will be
Yep.
the Long Beach State Beach. That is their nickname, the Beach. It's a great name.
That's certainly not their nickname.
It's their nickname. It used to be.
They're not called the Long State
They
Beach.
are.
Long
They
Beach State
changed
Beach.
it. It's the Long Beach.
They're the beach?
Yeah, and they also fired Dan Munson.
Yes, that's a great story.
He's still coaching.
All right. Before we get into overall bracket, let's dive into the DraftKings West region, guys.
Yeah, so first matchup that stands out to me is the Bosco Bowl here, Alabama, Charleston. There will be 7,000 threes shot in this game. It might be the most entertaining first-round game we have in this entire tournament. What? Go ahead.
Can Charleston score? Because Alabama can give up 90.
Right.
Is Charleston a big-time scoring team?
Yeah, they can. Yeah,
Good.
they'll be able to score. Alabama, obviously, I think will win, but that'll be very fun. And then the winner of this game, which will probably be Alabama. The idea of Alabama, St. Mary's, the contrast of styles. St. Mary's is the slowest team, I believe, in Division I.
Yeah.
Alabama is not. They're the exact opposite. They play very fast. That would be an intriguing matchup.
That's not really the matchup I look to, though, Mark. I look to a different game.
Yeah, I look as well to Baylor-Colgate. Jake brought up that Colgate is no stranger to the NCAA tournament. What they are a stranger to is winning an NCAA tournament. Colgate has never won an NCAA tournament game.
Sure.
They've been in like 5 in a row. Baylor, I think New Mexico is going to be Clemson, and the idea of Baylor and Clemson, or Baylor and New Mexico playing each other in the second round, kind of like Bama Charleston, that would be a very, very fun offensive game, and I would love to watch that.
Very fun.
I think
I go up here to the top there.
Yeah, at the top of the bottom here, you have Arizona and Dayton. The idea of them matching up is totally fun too, because Deron Holmes of Dayton, Arizona led by Caleb Love, Tommy Lloyd. People forget, Jake. People actually do forget this. Arizona, 2 seed last year, lost to a 15.
I had them to win it all.
But because Purdue lost to a 16. People forget that Arizona
Titus,
has
you want to take a look at the 1 and 2 and see any connections there in this West region?
Oh my God.
Tell the people.
Caleb Love at Arizona versus his old team, North Carolina, with a trip to go to the Final Four.
That's crazy.
Holy shit. Dude, look at this. Michigan State, when they beat Mississippi State, you have Michigan State, North Carolina, and then some other teams as well. But, like, that would be a hell of a second-round matchup. Tom Izzo versus the Tar Heels. So that's what stands out to me. What do you see?
You know, Michigan State barely snuck in. They're playing a very hot team in Mississippi State. Chris Jan's probably one of the best coaches in the country. Give him 4 days to get prepared for a guy like Tom Izzo.
You're playing Mr. March, and your coach's name,
He's the dentist. He's the dentist.
January is what they're saying. They're saying he peaked in January.
All right, so.
No, Jake, we just got to Mississippi State, okay?
Go
Are we
ahead.
in that big of a hurry?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
All right, so we are going to shift things to the visible fan cam. Ever wish you could call a foul on your wireless carrier for their hidden fees? Then it's time to switch to visible. Draining a half-court buzzer beater to win the game? Not easy. Switching to visible and saving on wireless with no hidden fees? Yeah, that's pretty easy. Switch to visible, the wireless company with nothing to hide, and get one-line wireless with unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon, just $25 a month. Every month, taxes and fees included, no hidden fees, no gotchas. Switch now at visible.com. Don't let hidden fees stop you from being a fan of wireless. Switch to Visible and save. Rate with service on the Visible plan for additional terms and network management practices. See visible.com. Switch now at visible.com. We go out to the Visible fan cam where we have a fan of a team that was left out.
Really?
And it's Frank the Tank.
Oh,
no.
Let's bring in Frank the Tank. Frank, your live reaction to seeing the Seton Hall Pirates are on the wrong side of the bubble this year.
Well, we can see.
We apologize for
basically,
the technical difficulties if
he's obviously angry.
we're working on it.
He's not happy.
I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, they beat UConn. UConn's the number one overall seed. They won 20 games. I mean, what is this? Screw the Big East is on Fox? I mean, are you kidding me? And then we got Virginia basketball. Virginia basketball. I never watch a senior citizen center play. These people, they are the boringest team ever. They hold the ball to the 9-second ever. It's like basketball in 1950. If anyone played like Virginia did, the sport would have died. Are you friggin' kidding me?
Any questions for Frank, Mark?
Who wants to watch Boise State? Who wants to watch New Mexico?
Well,
Who
these
wants to watch Colorado State?
New Mexico
Who
did
wants
win
to
their
watch the
conference tournament.
Buffaloes?
are all
They
fine
spoke
teams,
yesterday.
Frank.
I mean,
Well,
Oh, no.
Virginia is unwatchable.
You guys have
All right,
follow
there
up?
we go. That's I don't really have.
Frank,
any
will you be
questions.
watching the NIT?
Paint drying is more exciting than Virginia basketball.
I got a question for Frank. Frank, would you say the inactivity of the committee is a lot like Miami Dolphins GM Chris Greer's inactivity in signing a lot of free agents this week?
Yes. But Chris Greer said he's smiling ear to ear because winning is fastest. He wants to get the worst player at every position. They're going to get Zach Wilson.
Which 12-5 matchup do you like, Frank, the most? All right, maybe you can't hear me.
Pathetic.
All right, thank you, Frank. We're
you,
sorry
Frank.
about Seton Hall's fate, and we'll see you throughout the tournament.
Why? His team's not in it.
He'll still be
It will still be.
active, you would expect. Thank you, Frank.
I do feel bad for Frank. I feel it does seem on the surface. Now, I don't want to call out any individual teams by name, but the idea that the Mountain West
They all got
has
in.
twice as many teams in the NCAA tournament as the Big East, because the Big East got 3, right? The Big East got the big 3. Was that it?
Yeah, I think that's it.
That's it.
The Big East got 3 teams?
The Big East got 3 teams: UConn, Marquette, and Creighton. That was it. All the Big East bubble teams are out. I'm getting that right, Jake, right? The Big East got 3.
Yeah, that is crazy. That
The
is,
Mountain West got 6.
yes.
How does that happen?
How does
St.
that?
John's, Providence, Villanova, Seton Hall, all left out.
All
I have
left
this
out.
nugget from John Fancher. For the first time in the 45-year history of the Big East, a team went over 5 games, over 500 in the conference, and did not make the NCAA tournament.
That's crazy.
What was that?
Seton Hall.
Seton Hall.
Let's send it out to the cave, the visible cave, where we have fans of teams that are, some are happy, some are sad, some are shocked, some are mad about scheduling stuff. So let's start with you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Big
You
Cat
hear me?
PFT. We have the part of my take bowl.
Listen.
Go ahead.
I don't want to be a narcissist, but someone on selection committee is a sick fuck. Pervert. Because they put me versus PFT in the first round, and then Duke if Wisconsin wins Duke in the second round, or Vermont, which is equally as bad because Jake's going to be like, well, I announced for them for 2 years. I want them to win. And then if they're sick fuck. They just did it to fuck me, and I'm fucking, it's enough already. Enough. That's all I got.
PFT, your thoughts on the Big Cat versus PFT matchup?
Yeah, look, I've got a lot of tape out there, a lot of bad tape of me with my chest painted as Bucky the Badger, cheering for Wisconsin.
Oh no.
I'm just gonna pretend like that never happened. But yeah, they're perverts. The selection committee is perverts, and I'm actually just talking about UVA getting in, but they're also perverted in the fact that JMU Wisconsin's game. The one saving grace, though, I am going to be in New York for a wedding on Friday, so there's a good chance, depending on the tip time, I might just go to the game, or I might just be completely fucked and have to watch it on my phone sideways at a wedding. Also, Rico Bosco has very generously offered to get the JMU Dukes a gym to shoot around in Brooklyn. So I need to get in touch with our athletic department.
Did he actually say that?
I just want to say that's my connection that Rico stole from me. Mr. Connections.
Well, half the places.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Connections. That's my connection. That's my connection.
And the Brooklyn connection.
Oh, also, Rico Bosco, he sucks the dick of the Charleston coach and Nate Oates, and he only has one mouth. So he's got to figure out what that hand going to do.
It's going to be tough.
Can I ask Bosco a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Bosco, out of your 9 teams that got in, who do you feel happiest for?
I think it's Alabama.
That's going to be a fun game, Bosco.
It's going to be a real fun game.
DraftKings
Also, I mean, things are breaking for UConn, too. You can't really ignore that. It's the East is UConn's bracket to lose.
Let's move
Which isn't
on.
going out on a limb, but nobody really challenges them to the Elite Eight. I think Iowa State can muck it up.
Yeah.
But very, very easy break for UConn.
Rico, Jake's trying to cut you off so he can move on.
Marty, thoughts on Duke versus Vermont?
To go to Marty?
I didn't expect this, but I appreciate that. Minus 11.5 Duke is. That tells you everything, Jake. You got no chance.
All right, definitely don't clip that. Max, for Villanova, did
Duke
you have
has
any
certainly
hope?
never lost as a favorite in March.
Oh, no.
What? What just happened?
What happened? How do you like Villanova's seed?
Yeah, I mean, the Cats got snubbed. Everyone knew that. I thought they were going to be at least an 8 seed.
I got a question.
Okay.
Max, do you feel a little ridiculous now knowing that you were so far away from the bubble you shouldn't have even thought about it?
No, if they beat Marquette and then they beat Providence, they're in 100%.
No, Max, you should feel great. You should, like, the last really 3 weeks of the season were irrelevant, and all that screaming you did was for nothing.
Absolutely not.
That's not true. If they
wouldn't have made a
beat
difference.
Marquette and then beat Providence, which they had already done 2 times this year, they would have been in. There's no way if they went, although they don't fuck about the Big East, because whoever said, or Frank said it is right. They play on Fox. All these games are on CBS. Big Ev said that the Mountain West plays on CBS. How the fuck does the Mountain West get 6 teams and the Big East only gets 3? It's bullshit. It's anti-Italian discrimination.
Wait.
The Big East is an Italian league. It's bullshit.
Max, you
Finally,
Villanova did for the 3rd year in a row lead the country in free throw percentage, so that's awesome. You guys should hang that banner.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we just shoot no free throws because we just only shoot threes. But we're really good at shooting free throws when we get there, so cool.
I think the only happy person in the visible fan cam is Jake Malasek.
Well, no, hold on. I got to say something about our guy, Jake Malasek, real quick. He was looking for the times, the games, and he goes, oh, this is weird. They're playing the play-in game at 11 a.m. 11 a.m. just a placeholder for every game right now. They haven't announced the time.
That's the TBD.
This guy got into Virginia.
Jake, how do you feel?
Virginia got in over the Big East is bullshit.
What's crazier? Virginia getting into this tournament or Jake Malasek getting into Virginia?
That's a good question. Jake, what was your reaction when you saw the Wahoos in the field?
I was legit stunned, but I hope everybody enjoys Tuesday's standalone game, and it's going to be a great time, and everyone's going to have fun watching it. Go Hoos.
No one's ever.
All right, well, that is the raw reaction of everybody in the visible Barstool Bracket fan cam. Thank you guys, and we'll see you throughout the tournament. Now we can wrap things up with the Barstool Bracket recap presented by Optimum Nutrition. Unlock more with Gold Standard 100% Whey by Optimum Nutrition. Everyone at every level needs protein. Unlock your recovery on the court or in the gym. 24 grams of high-quality protein, 11 grams of naturally occurring essential amino acids, 15-plus amazing flavors, proven performance nutrition for over 35 years, fueled billions of workout recoveries nationwide, sold at stores nationwide on OptimumNutrition.com. Whether you're a bracket breaker or a bricklayer, unlock more, you with Optimum Nutrition. When you hit the court, make sure you have the Gold Standard 100% Whey in the bag. Whether your game's on point or you're looking for pointers, Optimum Nutrition can help you unlock more. 24 grams of high-quality protein, more than 15-plus easy-to-mix flavors that support muscle building and recovery. Gold Standard 100% Whey is the key to helping you rebound with the best. Recover, right, and stay out of foul trouble with Gold Standard 100% Whey. Rebound and recover like a superstar with Gold Standard 100% Whey. Post up, drive to the basket, and unlock more, you with Gold Standard 100% Whey. When the final buzzer sounds, recover like a champ with Gold Standard 100% Whey. The Optimum Nutrition Barstool Bracket recap. Guys, big pictures.
Here it is. There are 68 winners in the situation. 68 teams qualify for this tournament. There's some losing-ass teams that didn't make it. There's some guys that came into this weekend thinking, oh, I have hope. I'm going to make it. And then they don't. We have 68 teams remaining, and whether they win or lose this Thursday in Charlotte or not, these are the winners, and congratulations to all 68 of these teams.
I disagree with everything Brandon said. There's only one winner, Jake. That's why we put them in a bracket, and whoever is left standing is the champion. Everybody else is a loser. There's only one champion in Division I. We're going to find out who that is. Shout out to Oklahoma, by the way. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about the Big East getting snubbed. I feel like Oklahoma was a bubble team that kind of went under the radar. They are not in the tournament, as far as I can tell, unless I missed.
No, they're not in it.
Missed the announcement of Oklahoma. Yeah, but I don't know. It's a great looking bracket. It's we talked about it at the top that I don't believe that the smaller schools are as strong as they typically are. But the top schools aren't really as strong as with the exception of I would say the top 3 seeds, Purdue, Houston, and UConn, who I feel pretty strongly about. It's pretty wide open after that. So it'll be an insane tournament like it always is, and I'm fired up to watch it.
Look how beautiful that bracket. There's nothing more beautiful.
It's great.
That a filled-in bracket that's still got all the empty space. There's so much hope and possibility in front of us.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what's great?
And we're going to lose half our Final Four teams like Thursday morning.
No matter what happens this week, there's going to be something that happens that we'll never forget the rest of our lives.
The rest of our lives.
Wow, dude.
But
hopefully it has something to do with this tournament.
That's like a speech I gave before prom, and then I forgot everything that happened.
Yeah, I was home by 10:30.
I actually did forget everything, but
Yeah.
yeah, we're going to remember this forever.
Else. Yeah.
I can't wait to figure out which one of these seemingly inconsequential moments I get asked about on the dozen, like 12 years from now.
It hurt bad.
Yeah, he's already
excited. He's already memorizing this bracket. Yeah.
68 teams already locked in, right?
No, I mean, like, you're a storyline guy as well. There's a lot of great storylines. North Carolina, Arizona, certainly meeting in the Elite Eight would be awesome. Like I pointed out in the Midwest, Texas, Tennessee, Rick Barnes, and Creighton, Oregon. Those potential matchups with Dana Altman stand out to me. And like we pointed out in the Midwest, like the whole region is a region of revenge or redemption.
Region of revenge.
Whatever you want to call it.
Well, we may come up with a better name that's easier to say.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, but I love the 8-9 games on the top half of the bracket. I love your game too, by the way.
Yeah, our game is interesting.
Game. Mississippi State, Michigan State.
I mean, there are rumors out there that this is Izzo's last March, right?
Yeah, but you're trying to retire Izzo?
All I'm saying is,
you think if you kick Izzo's ass, he's done?
I'm going to give you a little history lesson. 1996, Mississippi State, the 5 seed, was supposed to play number 4 seed UCLA. Well, UCLA got beat by Pete Carril and Princeton, and it was he was going to retire. This was a great way, and we beat his ass by 20. So it happened in 1996. Why wouldn't it naturally happen 28 years later?
Why not?
Is that really 28 years? Is that right?
Yeah.
I love this draw for Purdue, by the way, the more I look at it. Everyone's going to try to make Purdue lose early because, obviously their recent history and their lengthy history.
Yeah.
But I love the 8-9 matchup for Purdue. I love that entire draw for Purdue. And McNeese and Sanford, people are fired up about. Neither one of them are great free throw shooting teams, and that worries me. I think if you're like a smaller school, you got to be great at the line. You got to be able to ice the game late, and neither one of those teams are great, so I don't love that. But
looking forward, though, you called it out as soon as we saw the bracket, but if you had 1 seed Purdue in the Elite Eight against 2 seed Tennessee, 2 coaches historically have choked, historically haven't gotten there.
When you're filling out your Midwest region, get your eraser ready because you're going to look up at your Sweet 16 and be like, holy shit, I hate all these coaches.
A lot of people are going to have the Kansas-Gonzaga winner going to the Final Four.
Yeah.
I agree.
Just because of
who do you think the trendy Final Four? I think Kentucky's going to be a trendy.
Yeah, do the trendy. These aren't personal picks. These are just the trendy ones. I think literally every person on planet Earth is going to have UConn coming out of the East, except for maybe Illinois.
I think people might
maybe Illinois,
maybe Auburn too with that SEC championship run. Maybe.
Yeah.
But you're right, Illinois.
Yeah, I guess you're right. We do have the top 4. I think one of you pointed out that the top 4 are all tournament champions, conference tournament champions. UConn, Iowa State, Illinois, and Auburn.
And historically, teams who win their conference tournament, it doesn't bode well, right?
Yeah. But UConn is just so good right now that I think everyone's going to pick UConn, and they won it last year, obviously.
Also, UConn does not have to get on a plane until a potential Final Four. Brooklyn.
They're going to walk?
Brooklyn for the first 2 rounds, and then Boston for the Elite Eight.
Wow.
16.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that actually is pretty crazy. Yeah, they're going to have a massive home court advantage.
They could get stuck in traffic, though.
In the West, I think the trendy pick,
maybe Baylor, recent champion.
Could be Baylor. Could be Bama, honestly. Obviously, Bama doesn't guard anybody, but like if you've been casually following college basketball this year, there might be a time where you tuned into Bama and they scored 100+ points, and you're like, holy shit, this is the best team in the country. I could see that. Baylor is a defending champion. Arizona. I like the idea of Arizona. There's a storyline, not just playing North Carolina, but if Arizona makes it to the Final Four, the Final Four is in Phoenix, so that's interesting as well. I think Kentucky's going to be a pick out of the South.
Yeah.
I think people.
It's now or never for Cal, right?
Yeah.
They have to make the Final Four. It was a joke that people were saying hot seat, but I feel like if they don't make the Final Four, it will be a real talking point.
Yeah. I don't know if they're going to fire him, but they might do the mutually agreed to part ways type deal.
But that's the edge they live on. He's always got enough talent to go to the Final Four, And by March, his team is usually humming pretty good, or as good as they have all season. And
if he loses to Oakland in the first round, I don't think they need to fire him because I think Kentucky fans will kill him.
Greg.
I think he'll be dead, and they don't have to even make that decision. But I think they're going to be the trendy pick, right?
I agree.
Out of the South. And then the Midwest is probably Kansas or Gonzaga.
Right.
I think it's probably Kansas.
I would caution against, but
How about South Carolina?
I just think this is a team that like maximized everything they could.
Yeah, they're
scraped their ceiling already.
I agree with
Carolina,
that. They lost to Auburn by 40 and 30, like in 2 separate games. I don't know if that's exactly what
they lost to Bama by 30, I think.
They've gotten their ass kicked a few times, and that doesn't take away from the season they had. They've had a great season, but they just don't feel like a team that is. They're a little overrated, if we'll call it that. But saying that makes it feel like they're frauds.
So when they
but it's an earned overrated, right? They went out and won the games. Like they're playing. Their record is better than I think their team is.
Right. I would agree with all that.
They were a 7 seed when they made the run to Phoenix 7 years ago. Now they're a 6.
Now they're a 6 seed.
Florida in the Elite Eight that year,
yes,
correct?
that was in the Garden. They beat Duke also in the second round.
That's right.
So that's the Midwest region. We're not going to make any predictions because, Mark, you want to tell the people where we're going?
Yeah, Jake, we're about to do a live show on the Mark Titus show, Rumble, YouTube, however you consume that show, and I know all of you watching do. We're gonna do a live bracket. Jake and I are gonna do a live show. We're gonna go live here in like 15 minutes, and we're gonna fill out our brackets. And I have no idea what I'm gonna do because, as Brandon said, staring at an empty bracket is awesome because there's so much hope, and so there's nothing better in sports than holding on to an empty bracket.
Yeah.
It really fucking sucks when you have to write in the winner and everybody is looking at you for the answers.
Yeah.
And I get to do that in like 15 minutes.
Oh, y'all are going through the whole thing?
Yeah, we're
We're
doing
doing
it
the
right
whole
now.
thing. Yeah, we're doing
I'm
it
telling
right now.
myself I'm not going to change it unless there's a significant like injury development.
If someone gets injured between now and 15, oh, you mean like after you fill it out?
Yeah,
it's when the games tip off.
No, you're not going to be allowed to change it.
I don't think you're allowed to change it.
Yeah, you don't have that
'cause
option.
if I'm putting it on the air,
You don't have that
Once you're on the air, and there's a clip of you where you're like, I don't think this.
Yeah,
you're right. You guys are right.
You can't just change.
You're right.
You're gonna get that thrown back in your face. So yeah, I'm gonna spend the next 15 minutes figuring out who I'm gonna piss off, which fan bases I'm gonna piss off. But yeah, it's gonna be an awesome tournament, and it always is. And I don't think we're gonna get. That's maybe one of my predictions. I don't know if we're gonna get that much chaos because I think the years you expect the chaos is when the chaos doesn't happen. And I feel like all year this year we've been talking about how there's a lot of parity in the sport, and we're setting up for an all-time March Madness, but that's when we get swerved.
Can I plug something real quick, Jake?
Always.
Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Central on Mostly Sports with me and Mark Titus. We'll, of course, go over the bracket a little bit more, and we'll have Liam Blutman's bracket of soups. So
Yeah, we'll probably.
we're doing Liam Blutman's bracket of 64 soups tomorrow morning. So
Yeah,
check that out.
check out Mostly Sports. We'll talk about the bracket for like 10 minutes, and then Brandon will get like he'll learn about some big-titted celebrity that he wants to talk about for the 45 minutes.
Fair enough. One
We'll
more
watch a
thing
squirrel water skiing.
you should tune into on the Barstool main feed. The Barstool Bracket Buster. It airs on Tuesday. One group of Barstool employees will leave with a lot of money. Safe to say that.
Yes.
Without unveiling the entire format. But that'll do it for the Barstool Bracket Show. Shout out to our partners at Sport Clips, DraftKings, Visible by Verizon, and Optimum Nutrition. For Brandon Walker, Mark Titus, everybody in the truck, I'm Jake Marsh. Ladies and gentlemen, this is March. Enjoy the tournament. Thank you for tuning in.